Welcome to the Hunting News Podcast. I'm your host, Steven Ziegler, and I'm here with my co-host, Aaron Futrell. And we are going to be talking about a bit of a controversial topic this week, where we are going to be talking about why crossbow hunters are better than compound bow hunters, and why you can laugh at that all you want. But use a crossbow. And also the second topic we're going to be talking about is why eliminating check-in stations at the gas station, which we all know and love, and I have great memories of, by eliminating those was much better for catching poachers. So on this week's episode, we're going to start out by talking about something that we've had a conversation about for a decade now, and my opinions have changed over the years, but why the crossbow hunters are better than compound bow hunters. And I know that's going to make some people mad, but you're all cheaters. And so let's get into this topic a little bit.
It's gonna be fun.
So one of the things that we got into with the hunting news, not just the podcast, but the hunting news on Facebook, is we started writing about stuff for 10 years now. So when you write things, you get comments, you get people getting mad at you, you see all these things. And whenever there's somebody kills a deer with a crossbow, they get mad. And there's other podcasts out there that their main thing that they talk about is why baiting's bad and why crossbows are bad and all that kind of stuff. And me, as a traditional archery hunter for the most part, I actually think that crossbow hunting is much more ethical. I think it's more reasonable. I like it better than compounds in general. Guys who hunt for compounds, I should say, actually kind of annoy me a little bit. And in the podcast, I hear this on podcasts all the time, and every time I hear it, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I am a crossbow or recurve guy. I have never killed a deer with a compound. I won't kill. Of course. Yeah, of course. That doesn't surprise me. But I'm all for crossbow or recurve or traditional archery, or the one famous video on YouTube where the guy kills a deer with a rock. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
That's a great video. Like, that dude is awesome. Like,
or atlatl.
I have an atlatl.
I do too.
It's not legal in Ohio, ODNR, listen to me. Make atlatls legal. I want to. And spear hunting is also illegal. Make that legal. I have an actual spear from Africa. My brother, I don't know, he gave him like $2.78, I think, and like a Twix for like this spearhead when he was. So my brother was deployed. He's in the Marines.
Was it Uganda?
I don't remember where he's at, but he was in Africa.
I think it was Uganda.
It might have been. He was training a bunch of soldiers that ended up dying, I guess. We should get him on here to talk about
wild stories.
He basically, it was a spearhead that was meant for a dowry. So somebody had like made this spearhead and invested their life savings in this spearhead for in order to get a wife. And he traded this dude like $2 and a Twix for it in Africa. And so he gave it to me, and I have a spear made out of a broom handle on this thing, which is kind of disrespectful.
You should update that broom handle.
Yeah, I know, but broom handles are perfect for it. So I want spear hunting to be legal too.
I think they're legal in like Missouri, and
I don't think spear is.
I know atlatls are.
Atlatls are, yes.
But atlatls a spear.
There's but a spear thrower, you can't just take a straight spear. Trust me, I haven't looked into it for years now, for like probably 5 years now, but I want to spear hunt for deer. I get deer close enough for it.
I know there's a couple states there are, but I'd have to look them up.
Yeah.
Maybe ask Tim Wells.
Right? Yeah, he kills bears with them.
Schlock master.
So what we're talking about here is with the crossbows. Crossbow hunting is something that is highly effective. And listen, if you can't kill a deer with a crossbow, then you're probably a beginner. Crossbow hunting is not as hard as hunting with a recurve. In fact, it's slightly, I'd say about maybe 5% easier than compound bow hunting. Because with compound bow hunting, it's just a vertical crossbow. These new compound bows shoot 300 feet per second. You're watching guys shoot elk at 80 yards with compounds. Now that's a bit of an extreme for sure, but you can shoot a deer at 50 yards with a compound, and it's not hard. And here's how I know. My brother got a new, I think it was I don't know, do you know what his bow was? I think it was a Matthews.
It was a Matthews.
So he got the new Matthews. I hadn't shot a compound since I was 13 years old. I had a compound that me and Corey, actually, he brought this up before the podcast. We were trying to shoot this compound, and it was like 40-pound draw weight. We were, maybe 10, 12, 13, something like that. And we're like pulling it back. We're like falling down. We're like leaning over, trying to pull this thing back. And when we were kids shooting this thing, And I haven't shot one since then. Now my brother goes, "Hey, check out my new bow." I'm like, "Oh yeah, well I hunt with a recurve. Whatever. You're cheating. You got your vertical crossbow there." And he's like, "You hunt with a crossbow." I'm like, "Yes, of course I do, because I'm not a liar." See, you compound guys think that you're doing archery. Compound bow hunters are not archery hunters. Let me make that clear. You compound bow hunters, and I know me and you, this is one of the areas we disagree on. Compound bow hunters are not archery hunters. You are pretend archery hunters. If you're not using a stick and a string, and admittedly, I'm not as much of an archery hunter as a guy who's using, an actual, a little Native American kid running around in a loincloth. But my ultimate goal with bow hunting is to find an arrowhead. I haven't found one on my parents' property yet, my mom's property. I want to find an arrowhead. I found partials. I found some things down there, but I want to find a full arrowhead from a little Native American kid that killed a big buck. In my head, he killed a big buck with this. Make my own arrows, make my own bow. I've read books on it. I've done some, I've started the process of it, but I haven't been able to do it yet. Make a bow, make an arrow out of these actual arrowheads that I find, and kill a deer wearing a loincloth and first I got to kill a turkey and, make my headdress. Like, it's going to be the weirdest form of cultural appropriation ever, dude. I'm telling you, like, if this doesn't get me canceled for some reason, like, nothing will. Like, it's going to be hunters bring cultural appropriation. They're going to be like, you can't do that. But
you just want to have, like, the most ultimate, like, no one is going to be more archery than me.
Yes.
It's like,
100%.
That's like, so you want to say no one can ever say anything to me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not even like, that no one can say anything to me.
Not even Fred Bear. Fred Bear, it's like he can't even come out of his grave and say that he was a bow hunter. Be like, "No, Fred, you're not a bow hunter. I'm the bow hunter because look what I did."
Yeah. Ted Nugent's going to be talking about Steven Ziegler, the bow hunter, not Fred Bear.
He's going to be writing a song, Steve Ziegler, right? That's what you want. That's your goal.
Yes, that's my goal. If Ted Nugent wrote a song about me, I would, trust me, it would. That's the pinnacle of life.
You have better luck of Taylor Swift writing a song about you.
Maybe.
Or Miley Cyrus.
Now, here's the thing.
Or Devin Mulvaney. I don't know. Does he write songs?
Mulvaney. I'm not drinking Bud Light, all right? But anyways, so in my opinion, when it comes to crossbows versus compound bows, compound bow hunters are the type of guys that like to complain, and not all of them. Like, there's some guys out there that are like, I don't care what you do. But you see this online a lot, and me and you saw this all the time when we were writing articles for the hunting news. We would see guys, it's like, oh, well, that person killed it with a crossbow. Or you hear these podcasts are out there now. I'm not going to mention the podcast names, but because there's some people I really respect that think this way. But they, the compound bow hunters are basically taking a crossbow and turning it. They're just turning it over and killing deer with it. Oh, well, I have to pull it back. Okay, you're 30 feet in a tree. Pulling back is the easiest part. Like, I hunt with a recurve. I've killed deer with a recurve. I've also missed a lot of deer with a recurve. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, it's embarrassing. It's more embarrassing.
So you going to tell me that one story?
No, I'm not telling you the story.
Come on, tell me the story.
The story will never come out about what happened with me missing. Again, maybe when I'm old, before I die. But if I get diagnosed with cancer, let me know. I'll bring up the story then. But that hurt my heart. When I started recurve hunting is very, very difficult. Because you actually have to be an archery hunter. Mm-hmm. You have a bow, it's a stick and a string, and you're shooting a deer with a stick and a rock. Like, that's what the Native Americans did, and that's what I want to get to. And I think that as you get better and better and more talented, a lot of guys now, like you shoot. I saw a clip online the other day of a guy talking like, oh, you killed a 180-inch buck? So what? That happens. If guys have 1,000 acres to hunt, that's not necessarily hard because these bows shoot 50 yards. When I grew up, the crossbow I used growing up, it was my grandpa's crossbow.
Like that old Horton.
Yeah. It had like a wood stock on it.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing shot 40 yards tops, and it would go thunk. Like, and every deer in the whole hills heard it.
Like, it's louder than my 410.
Yeah. Right?
Like when I shot squirrels with when I was 6.
Yes. So for me, when I look at bow hunters and I go, okay, well, you have guys that hunt with crossbows and you have guys that hunt with compounds. And I see guys that hunt with compounds complaining about crossbow hunters, and it annoys me more than anything else in the hunting community for the last 10 years, because compounds today are more effective than crossbows were 10, 20 years ago when we were growing up. 20 years ago. 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm 36 now.
We're old.
Yeah, 30. I'm not old, but 20 years ago, those crossbows were garbage compared to the compounds today.
Oh yeah, I think it's all a matter of technology. Like right now I hunt with a crossbow mainly because I don't have anywhere to shoot my compound bow. Right now, my compound bow is, let's see here, I got it when I got back from Afghanistan in 2003.
Yeah, so that compound bow, if you said, oh, well, I shot a deer with this
I've killed deer with that compound.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's not, I mean, you're not me.
No.
But,
compared to, your brother's new Matthews,
it's insane.
It's a night and day difference. Those two compound bows.
Yeah. So let me take a step back real quick. The compound bow that my brother had, he brought that new Matthews. I went out. He goes, "Hey, shoot this." I've been hunting with my compound or with my my recurve, and I took it out and we were standing at 80 yards, and it was right before dark. He's like, "Hey, shoot this thing, man." He was all proud of it. He loved it, and I'm like, I haven't shot one of those since I was 13. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago. So I take the bow. I draw it back. I'm at 80 yards. I haven't shot one in, close to 20 years. Draw it back. I put an arrow within 6 inches at 80 yards of the bullseye. Then the next arrow, I put within 3 inches of the bullseye. Without practice. Now I am a compound. I keep saying that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I am a recurve hunter, so I do hunt with traditional archery. So I shoot 10,000 arrows a year. So obviously I'm a little more skilled than somebody who's not trained at all. But when I look at these compound guys complaining about crossbow hunters, it annoys me so much because I don't care if somebody uses a crossbow or a compound. From my perspective, I look at it as the exact same thing. If you have a crossbow from 10 years ago or you have a compound bow from today, I see zero difference in what you're doing as a hunter.
Yeah, it's like, I think like it is. It's a technology thing because right now, last year was the first time I ever shot a raven. That thing was ridiculous. Right now my crossbow is, when did I get that crossbow? That crossbow is 10 years old. Compared to that raven, that is a night and day difference.
So I think that a lot of the mistake that people are making in the hunting industry a lot is when they're like, oh, well, the crossbows are cheating. Sure, dude, listen, I'm not going to lie. The crossbows of today shoot farther than the shotgun I had when I was a kid. My dad told me, he's like, you're not shooting over 50 yards, right? Crossbows today, you can shoot those things. Yeah. My mom has a new 10-point. She shoots that thing 100 yards. I've shot her bow. Yeah. Dude, it shoots 100 yards accurately.
Yeah.
Very accurate.
She's not going to shoot a deer at 100 yards because, the deer can take a step and it's moving fast. Like, but it's like, but 65 yards? There's no way I'm shooting my crossbow at 65 yards. I limit myself to a 40-yard shot with my crossbow.
Yeah. So let me just say, anybody that's complaining about crossbow guys and you're hunting with a compound, if your compound is within the last 5 years, you're playing make pretend. You're not an archery hunter. You're a vertical gun hunter is what you are.
Because this is where I agree with you, but it's all based on what technology you have. Because if you're the more advanced your weapon system is because your compound bow in like the last 5 years is way more advanced than my 10-year-old crossbow.
Yeah,
and right now, even if I was shooting my compound bow, right now my 20-year-old compound bow is probably equal to my 10-year-old crossbow as in, lethality of what the distance.
Yeah,
however, if I was still going to get ready for the deer season, if I'm getting ready for deer season, it is going to take me a whole lot longer to get ready with a compound bow than getting ready with a crossbow.
Yeah, I mean, crossbow takes you 0 time, and compound takes you, 3-4 shots?
No, the compound, if getting you ready, it's going to,
If you're talented at all, it'll take you 3 or 4 shots. And you're shooting. Okay, can you shoot a basketball at 40 yards? Can you shoot a basketball at 40 yards if you've shot in 3 practice shots? Can you do that? Because that's the size of a kill zone on a deer.
I thought you meant like shooting a basketball.
You can't.
I don't even think I can make a 3-pointer anymore. It's been a while.
You couldn't hit 3-pointers when you were young, dude. You were just
I know.
You're a bulldozer down low.
I know. I was making, I played power forward.
No, you played you played the enforcer like you were a hockey player. I played against you. It was annoying.
I know. Sharp elbows.
My point is, can you make a shot? Can you hit a basketball with a compound bow at 40, 50 yards after 3 shots? Yes, you can hit the kill zone of a deer after 3 or 4 warm-up shots, no problem. Yeah. Now, there's a little bit more of, controlling your adrenaline, but the same thing applies to crossbows.
Yeah, and I don't know how comfortable I would be, shooting at 40 yards with 3 shots. I would definitely want to be...
With the Raven?
Oh, with the Raven, no problem. I'm talking with my compound.
Okay.
If I take my compound out there, more than 3 shots. If I take the Raven out there at
0. Put the crosshairs where you need it. You shot guns your whole life, yeah.
Yeah, at that, what I would want when I shot the Raven, it was more about being familiar with how it worked.
Okay.
Not with the actual shooting. It was more with unloading, reloading, cocking, because that part was a little bit confusing because of how the slide and
sounds like it's harder than a compound.
Yes, it was a lot.
There you go. There you have it, everybody.
That part was more confusing.
Crossbows are real hunting. Compound bows, you guys are cheaters.
That part was the more confusing, but after about, probably about 45 minutes, I was ready to hunt.
Yeah, so that's kind of my point, is that all of the modern day compound bow hunters and the guys that you see online, you see on podcasts, you see, on TV that are talking about, check out this new compound bow I have, all this stuff. It's like, okay, but the technology you're using is better than the shotgun I had as a kid. So how are you any different?
Yeah.
When I'm using a crossbow, I'm using it because I will either kill a deer with a crossbow, or now we own the long lures. Obviously, everybody who watches this knows that at this point. So we're very, very busy. You own your own business. It gets hectic. So I don't get to practice as much. So with my recurve, if I don't shoot 10,000 arrows, I'm not taking it out. Like I'm shooting. I have a bear target. I have 3 deer targets. I have a bunch of smaller targets. I have square targets. Everything. I have tree stands in my backyard. I'm shooting every day. When we first bought the long. I didn't get to practice, so I took out a compound. I took out a crossbow.
Yeah.
So I hunted with a crossbow. I killed a deer with a crossbow, and I feel like I did the exact same thing as if I killed a deer with a compound bow. Now, if I wanted to go archery hunting, I would take a recurve and do real archery hunting. But I think that these guys that are on podcasts complaining and spending half their episodes talking about why baiting and crossbow hunting's bad. I think that you're cheating with your new modern day compound bow.
Yeah, the thing is I don't really care.
I do.
The thing is
I'm better than you. I'm joking.
Yeah, the thing is the reason I switched from compound to crossbow is because I was deployed for a year, and I wanted to go hunting when I came home, and I couldn't practice with my compound because it took a little bit of time, and I came back in October.
How much time?
0.
No, for the hunt with the compound. This is my whole point.
It's like
how much time would it take you to hunt with a compound? I know, obviously, you came back in the middle of deer season. You showed up and you're like, I'm going hunting.
Yeah,
I get it. You were familiar with your crossbow already, but
yeah, I felt it was gonna take me. It would take. I wanted to at least get. I like to get at least a couple weeks of consistent shooting in, and let's talk about this because I have that 20-year-old compound. That 20-year-old compound isn't like these newer compounds.
Okay, but how much time would it, if you had a brand new top of the line, say Matthews called you up like, hey, Purple Heart veteran coming back from Afghanistan, you just got blown up. We want to just give you the top of the line best thing we have.
Well, I got blown up in Iraq.
Oh yeah, sorry.
This is a pre-deployment. This is when I came back from Kuwait, which it was kind of a stupid deployment, but it just sucks over there. It's hot. But anyways, I wasn't injured, but it was just coming back, and I wanted to go hunting. I didn't have time to, get all ready for deer season. It's just time to go. So I got a crossbow because I knew I could just, get it sighted in, shoot it, and hit the woods. Easy. Instead of making sure that my pins were all aligned, I still have a correct anchor point, everything. And, I just wanted to be able to go out and the next day. And I felt like To get my compound ready, it's going to take me a couple weeks of shooting, make sure everything was the way I wanted it.
So I guess to more clarify my point here, if you're archery hunting / vertical gun hunting / crossbow hunting, if you're doing that, say, listen, I know we vote on ass of the week every week. By all means, guys, vote for me. But if you're doing that and you have a compound, okay, let's start with the crossbow. You have a crossbow, you have a compound, you have a recurve. Say recurve is 1. Where would you put, like, what percentage harder would you say a crossbow is than a compound, and a compound is than a recurve?
Because I've shot all 3. I've never killed a deer with a recurve. To get ready to hunt with a recurve, it would probably take me, where I would feel comfortable, it would probably take me at least 6 months of shooting every day. You think? Do you think that'd be fair?
Based on what? Yeah, I'd say so. I practiced for more than 6 months, and I missed a couple deer.
Yeah, but say where you would say, okay, I feel like I could go out in the woods and hunt, like, say, consistently shooting every day for 6 months.
Yeah.
With a compound, I would say if you're consistently shooting every day for a month, just picking it up. If
with a new
if you've never if you've never shot before.
How long with a crossbow would you say?
If you've never shot before, a day.
A day? Okay, so a little bit to your point with okay, so
then again with a new one, with a brand new one.
So okay, let me stop you right there for a second, because on the new crossbows.
But then again, I think we're also a little bit biased because we've been hunting so long, and we do have a lot of experience. Like, I've been shooting somewhat archery since I was 10, like shooting a bear, like I was shooting like it was like a bear, it was a compound with no sights.
Okay.
And I was, playing around with it. I was like 12, shooting it at targets in my backyard. And then I picked up, messing around with archery, since then with other stuff.
Here's the thing. Here's my whole point.
And then also shooting guns and also having experience doing that sort of thing. So picking that up and,
You already had experience shooting guns
too, which is gonna be helpful. Somebody that's never shot anything in their life, picking up a bow, traditional archery is gonna be really hard.
Yeah,
you're. I think even 6 months might be a little bit. It may be a little bit longer than 6 months, but 6 months probably. I think they could do it. Compound, it's still gonna be hard because there's all that muscle memory. There's still a lot to learn. It's,
It guides you, though. It literally got the cams guide you. Yes, you can screw it up. You can, but
there's,
like I said,
I think it would still take, a little bit more than, I think shooting a gun is a lot easier and a crossbow is very gun-like.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that a compound is just like a gun. The only difference is you have to actually pull it back. That's the only thing I've heard from people. Oh, well, it's totally different. I talked to my younger brother about this, Spencer. Me and him talked about it. He's like, oh, dude, it's so much harder because I got to pull back on that deer. I'm like, oh, you got to make sure the deer's not looking at you. Then you can hold it with how much. There's literally videos online of people holding compound bows, pulling them on a string down towards the ground. So they'll put it on a nail, pull it down towards the ground, and let it go, and it holds itself. The weight of the bow holds itself.
Oh yeah, some of that new stuff with the let off is ridiculous.
Yes, you're not actually holding this weight with a piece of traditional archery. You have 2 to 3 seconds. I'm 62 pounds of draw weight at my anchor. So when I pull back, I've got 2-3 seconds top. So I got to wait for the deer to get in range, look away, get ready to take a step forward, and then I pull back, and I have 2 to 3 seconds to pull that shot.
Yeah, but we're not talking about traditional archery and compound.
So the point I'm making is that you have crossbows that are, say, they're one thing, and then compounds are, 3, maybe 4% harder, and then traditional archery is 200% harder.
Yeah, it's like traditional archery is I agree. Traditional archery is through the roof way harder than compound and crossbow.
So the compound guys that are complaining about crossbow guys, you're playing make pretend. You're pretending to do archery. You're not doing real life. This is a pretend thing.
Yeah, my contention is that compound is harder than crossbow.
Barely. Barely.
Yeah.
If you have any experience in shooting, I shot that bow at 80 yards.
Yeah,
this was 3 years ago. I shot at 80 yards and was 6 inches from the bullseye, and then the next shot was 3 inches after zero practice.
Yeah,
I could have hunted with that thing without ever shooting it and killed the deer both shots at 80 yards. Now, I'm not talking 30 yards or 40 yards where most deer are. I could have made that kill shot at 80 yards. That's crazy. That's crazy how the technology, the same way that these new, and listen, let's be very clear. These new crossbows, yes, you can shoot 100, 200 yards. This is a topic we're going to get into later.
But they blow up. That's the big, that's the scary thing about some of these new.
Dude, they're getting better at it.
They are getting better at it, though.
Some of these new crossbows are real cool. My mom's 10-point. I really like shooting.
Yeah, when I went down to Kentucky last year for that veterans hunt where they let me shoot the raven, I was talking to the guys that they work at the bow shop that donated the ravens. I think they donated the ravens, but it's a couple other veterans that work there, and they were saying the first generation raven, that thing is they've pretty much worked out the kinks, and they almost never get in any like repairs on them anymore from people blowing them up.
Well, they had problems with them at first.
Yeah, at first, but it's like the first generation ones. He's like those are good to go. Those the second and third ones, he's like still
a little hit and miss.
Still a little hit and miss on those. They said ravens. He's like, if you're gonna buy one of those high end crossbows, they said Raven is very good, and they said Mission is really good.
I don't even know who they are. I know my mom. I shot my mom's 10-point.
Yeah, they said 10. Dude. They said 10-point. They have issues with those that bring in, and I can't remember some of the other brands.
Well, let me make this clear. I love hunting with a crossbow.
Oh yeah, I do
and
too.
And a recurve.
It's like
I just can't stand this whole thing that's it's blown up in popularity online, and you see it on a lot of different not just podcasts, but like on Facebook, on TikTok, on all these different platforms. You see people bashing crossbow hunters while they're sitting there with this bow that shoots 100 yards that has 90% let off. You're like, what are you talking about? You're doing something that's way easier than the crossbows that I grew up hunting with. And I don't like that's something that really just kind of makes me think that compound guys make pretend.
This is where I kind of agree. It's like where your compound is probably, is better than the crossbow I'm currently hunting with. Yeah. But if I go out and buy a brand new Raven, my Raven is probably better than your compound.
Yeah.
That's where that's where my point is. It's like, if I buy the top of the end crossbow, is probably easier and better than your top of the end Matthews, and for the distance it can shoot and the ease. But your top of the end compound is better than the bargain crossbow.
Yeah, so I guess the point that I'm making and that I want everybody to be very clear about, I am a crossbow or a traditional archery hunter. I will not use a compound because compound hunters annoy me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to hunt with compounds. A lot of my family hunts with compounds. I don't like it.
I'm going to buy a compound.
Go ahead.
I want a new compound because I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Do whatever you want. I actually really don't care. I'm not even saying as long as you follow the laws. That's another stupid argument inside the hunting industry. Well, if you're doing it legally, well, slavery was legally at one point. So let's not pretend like just because it's legal makes it okay. But compound bow hunters that complain about crossbow hunt, let me be a little more specific. I don't care if you use a crossbow or a compound or a recurve. Compound bow hunters that complain about crossbow hunters are what annoys me more than anything. And the whole reason I used to hunt with a crossbow as a kid. I never hunted with anything else other than a crossbow. I went straight from crossbow to recurve because I was so annoyed with compound guys being like, oh, you're not doing real hunting. I'm like, neither are you. Shut up. You're not doing real archery. So I decided to do real archery. And then now I've gone down this rabbit hole where I have worn a loincloth. We'll get into that.
The bachelor party?
Yeah, it was made out of a woman's thong and an actual deer hide.
Yeah.
It didn't fit, but it did. It was for a husky lady.
I'm kind of glad I was deployed at the time.
Yeah. But it was like, but when I look back on it, I go, okay, like that's like I want a loincloth that's similar to that. it felt a little tight, but like similar structure.
Breezy.
It wasn't. No, it was. Man, it was real compact. It was because it made out of you need more of a banana hammock type, guys sort of thing. Leave yourself. So I need extra room.
Did it split the boys?
Yeah, it did. I need the extra room. I need one of the extra larges. But they. But
whatever
anyways,
you have to tell yourself.
So, but I want to make a loincloth. I want to do face paint. I want to do an actual like
Chief Wahoo it up.
Yeah. Listen. Hey, oh boy.
Yeah.
Full red face.
So you're not one of those Go Guardian guys.
No.
You're Go Indians.
Full red face. I think that's okay. Black face not okay. Red face I think is still okay. Maybe?
I don't know.
Well, we're gonna find out.
I know a couple. I'll call my friend. He's a
guy.
Yeah, he's a Navajo. I was stationed with him in Germany.
So I actually worked. I worked with a guy who is a full legit Native American, and I'd worked with him.
This is the best story ever.
So he's very, you can tell. Like you just look at the guy and you're like, oh, this dude was for sure Native American. So I worked with him for a while. I didn't know his name. I didn't pay attention because people came and went from this garbage job that I had before, and they would be like. I was working there, and finally I was like, "Hey, I gotta get something from this guy." I looked at the guy next to me. I'm like, "Hey, what's that guy's name?" I said, "I've been working with him too long. I can't ask him his name. It's kind of awkward at this point." He's like, "Oh, it's Sacagawea." So I walked over and I went, "Hey, Sacagawea," and he's like, F you. He starts yelling at me. I'm like, what, bro? He's like, you think I call me Sacagawea? You call me Sacagawea? This dude over here calls me Chief Wahoo. And he starts yelling at me, and I'm like, dude, he told me your name was Sacagawea. He's like, God, and he also calls me Chief Wahoo. You know who Sacagawea is? And immediately I felt so stupid. I was like, of course I've read so many history books. Of course I know who Sacagawea is. I'm like, oh, that was a pregnant chick, wasn't it? He was like, yeah, it was. I'm like, sorry, dude. I said, I just asked him. I didn't know your name. And he was like, oh, it's Francis. And, I was like, oh, okay, sorry, man. I apologize. I was like, okay, but for real, tell me, do you have like an Indian name? And he was like, yeah. He's like, I was like, what is it? And he was like, it's Chief Flies with Eagles. And I was like, bro, that's so sweet. He's like, I told you already, it's Francis. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, am I racist? He's like, yes, leave me alone. And I felt so bad. But then I found out if you're legit, he's legit, 100% Native American. And I found out that they actually have Native American names like that. Like, I'm not saying it's Chief Flies with Eagles or nothing, but they actually have those names. To this day, I have no clue if this dude's still messing with me or not. And I'm actually legit friends with him. And it's so awkward to ask him, dude, for real.
Is he the one with the walleye boat?
Yes.
Dude.
Yes, on Lake Erie. This dude limits out on walleye, muskie. Dude. He's even agreed to take out our muskie lures and our new walleye lures and stuff and actually try them. So I'm like, dude, but it's an awkward conversation at this point.
So yeah, you can't go back up to him and
watch you go fishing with him, and the name on the side of his boat is Sacagawea.
Or flies with eagles.
I hope his name on his boat is Sacagawea. That would be the best day of my life if I saw it. He's got a really nice boat. No, he's a cool dude. And we're friends. We're friends to this day. But no, my whole point is, listen, I don't care what you hunt with. If you're doing it ethically, not legally, if you're doing it ethically, I legitimately don't care because I'm using a crossbow. I've used my mom's 10-point. I've never killed a deer with it, but I did take her 10-point out last year because I didn't have time to practice with my recurve enough. So I actually don't care if you use a compound, whatever. My brothers use them, whatever. It doesn't bother me. But when people complain about crossbow hunters, it feels like you're playing a game of soldiers, like when you were a kid, where you get the little army guys, oh, I'm pretending to be this thing that I'm not. And so those compound guys
stolen valor.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Yes, that is the hunting version of stolen valor. Compound bow hunters are the hunting version of stolen valor. Okay, you're pretending. You're make pretend. Okay, that's what you are. You're pretending to do something you're not doing. You're not doing archery. You're doing vertical crossbow hunting. That's all it is.
I got a funny stolen valor story.
Go for it.
When my son was in Cub Scouts, and my daughter decided to wear his Cub Scout uniform, he accused her of stolen valor.
How old were they?
Like he was 10 and she was like 6. It's like, you're wearing my Cub Scout uniform. That's stolen valor. You didn't earn the Cub Scout. You're not a Cub Scout.
Of course.
Like,
that's funny.
Like, dude.
He saw that on YouTube probably.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the second topic we wanted to talk about today, because we're trying to talk about two. It's a very interesting one. It's about the teledeer check-ins, right? So it used to be when me and you grew up that, and most of the people listening, that you would go in and you'd shoot your deer, you'd take it down to the check station. I have great memories of this. Mm-hmm. We'd go to the check station. You'd be there. There'd be other people there. Everyone would look at everybody's deer. They congratulate you, especially when you're, I was 10 years old, killed my first deer. Everybody had this nice buck, and everyone's like, "Oh, congratulations!" Some of the best memories ever. Mm-hmm. Now, what they did in Ohio is they got away from the check stations, and in most states, at this point, it's mostly you call it in on your cell phone or you get on the website and you check it in. Now, there's a lot of people complaining about this online. It was a hard change for a lot of people, for myself included. I didn't like it. I'm like, man, it's going to make poaching so easy. Oh yeah. Hey, I was going to check it in, but you process it before it gets checked in. It's a legitimate concern, and it does happen.
Yeah. It's basically what the arguments you hear is like, oh, it's going to increase poaching. There's going to be people that are going to find their way around it. You don't have the little metal tags and whatnot. So there's arguments. You see all the arguments online, and they did away with it probably close 10 to 15 years ago.
Yeah, I would say so. I guess so. In Ohio,
yeah, probably in
10, 15 years, I'd guess.
I don't know if any other states still require in-person check-ins.
I don't know. I think if they do, it's very, very few. Almost everybody's online. Listen, in my new opinion on this is that in-person check-ins at the gas stations is essentially like teaching kids cursive writing. It's like, okay, well, we have phones now. Like, what are we talking about? Like cursive? Yeah. You don't need to know cursive. And all the people are like, oh, how are you going to read documents? Well, we have them all online. We have them all typed out in
it's
regular letters.
It's the same reason like none of us learn Latin.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how are you going to learn the classics? Like, yeah, we don't need to learn Cicero right now.
Yes, technology changes and times change, and it's hard. And we just lost all of our older audience. So anybody over 60 is going to be like, these guys, they're both the ass of the week.
Like, who's Cicero?
but I ended up talking to a game warden. I was interviewing him when we were running the huntingnews.com, which is no longer a website. We shut it down for DeLong. But when we were writing those articles, I met with the game warden. He was like, dude, this telecheck-in makes catching poachers so easy. He's like, it's way easier now than it used to be. Because it used to be, you only went to that check station if you shot a deer completely legally. And if you shot a deer there and you took it to that check station, you're nowhere near your property. Well, now, so what would happen is somebody would shoot a deer on their property or not on their property and say it was on their property, right? Uh-huh. And they would go to the check station like, oh, yeah, I shot it here. And then, you get a report from somebody on the neighboring property. Hey, they shot that on my property. Then they'd have to go to the check station. Then they go to the check station. Well, who shot these deer? What deer were checked? Then you'd have to go through all of those deer. And then was it checked in? What was it was a big, complicated, hard thing to figure out when there's poachers. Well, now what's happening is that when they went to telecheck-in, if somebody goes and shoots a deer, they're very likely to check it in because it's super easy to check it in. Even if you poached it, you're very likely to check it in because say you broke one law. Well, there's no reason to break other laws that could get you caught. Like, just check the deer in. Oh, of course I shot it at my tree stand. Well, what's happening now is people on neighboring properties, just as a simple example, say you shot a deer on the neighbor's property that's posted. You shoot it, you recover it, you go check it in. Now you check it in online, right? Well, it's actually easier for them to catch you because the neighbor calls the game warden and says, hey, this is my address. This is that guy's address. He shot it here. They just look it up online and go, oh, okay, I know where he is. They go straight to the property. They talk to the guy and go, where'd you shoot that deer? Oh, I shot on my property. Well, we're going to go look at the kill site. And then they bust the guys quickly. Mm-hmm. So although again, this is one of those topics where I had my mind made up that like changing to I hated losing the experience. I hate that my kids won't get to take their big buck to that. My daughter shot her first buck this year. She shot a 5-point. I hate that she didn't get to take that to a gas station and check it in person, and that didn't happen. You didn't get to fill out the paper, get the metal tag. All the people come up and go, oh, congratulations. I hate she missed that. But from a poacher standpoint, catching poachers, these guys are these game wardens are so much more efficient because we have in Ohio 1 game warden per county. There's 5,000 deer killed in this county. So they go out and how are you gonna you can't monitor all these deer.
Yeah, and
it's
there's a few auxiliaries, but there's 1 game warden assigned to county plus a few auxiliaries that float around.
And during gun season when it's real busy here, they're not floating around. They're watching Facebook.
Yeah.
They're going, oh well, this person posted this deer. Oh well, here now I have the pictures of where you shot it. Now I have the address of where you say you shot it. Now I have the kill site of where you shot it. Now I have all the data. I have everything. And these poachers are checking in deer left and right because, well, I violated one law. I don't want to violate a bunch of different laws. Because if a game warden comes onto your property and you haven't checked it in, you're busted immediately. Well, let me check it in and just say I shot it here. These game warden, these poachers, these poachers are checking in deer left and right and getting busted by game wardens because they have where you shot it, when you shot it, the neighbor's thing, where the kill site is, and they have it instantly.
Yeah, because the poachers are of course checking in because they don't want the game warden to then start stacking charges, even though they're going to stack charges anyways.
Yeah, they will, but
but that's something totally different. We covered that in a previous podcast, but still, it's definitely showing that the telecheck is giving the game wardens tools to help do their job and be more efficient at their job.
Yes.
Which is kind of what you want to help protect the resource.
So, do you have to have your location enabled in order to use that app?
No, it doesn't even have to be on. So you don't even have to have service, and it'll just when you do get service, it'll ping the cell tower to check it in. So it doesn't have location, but
you do have to put your address in. You have to put where you killed it in. Like all that stuff is put in.
The county, and it's kind of.
But basically what's happening is these game wardens are just driving around. Instead of driving around and trying to catch someone and then going and interviewing a property owner, they're getting a call. They're doing the research on their phone. They're getting one of these game wardens saying, hey, this is where it is. This is where you need to go. Check this deer out. Now the deer's sitting there checked in on the property, and the guy who's the neighbor's complaining, or the guy who's saying he shot it at night is complaining, and now you're there in the matter of an hour. You're at the site. Before the deer's been processed. Before you're at the site of the kill, way quicker. The longer that it goes from the time that deer's checked in till the game warden gets there, the harder it is for you to bust that poacher. So the game warden I talked to said that they are actually busting more poachers faster, specifically during gun seasons in these states. This is what he told me, and I should have got some data on this to start, but and we'll look this up and bring this up on another podcast. But they're telling me from the game wardens I've talked to in a couple of different states that this has made it easier for them to bust poachers. This telecheck-in, as much as it breaks my heart to know that my daughter doesn't get to have that experience. Because it is better for catching poachers.
Because I had a lot of fun going there, especially
getting ice cream.
Oh yeah, that was like kind of our tradition. We go check in deer, and whoever killed deer, had to buy ice cream.
Yeah, I was 10 years old. My dad's like, "You gotta buy ice cream." I'm like, "I don't even have money."
He's like, "I don't care. You're buying ice cream," and then
he can pay me back.
Then he buy ice cream for you.
Yeah, but no, this is an important topic that I think a lot of hunters have wrong. It's something that I had wrong for a while. And again, if you have any thoughts on this, let me hear them. Tell me where I'm wrong. If you think that I'm wrong about this, tell me why. Give me an explanation. Write it in the comments on the Hunting News on Facebook, and we'll respond to it. Or you can even email me back and talk to me about it.
I do get the nostalgia factor too.
Yeah. And that's a lot of things that make it. Change is hard for people a lot of time because of nostalgia. My memories of going to the literally, I shot my first buck. I shot this big 8-point. It was 50 years after our grandpa shot his first deer, which was also a big buck. And he took me to the gas station. We checked it in. He bragged about me like crazy. It was multiple nights a week for the next couple of months. 'Cause I shot it with a crossbow.
Yeah.
Because cross
gun,
a crossbow from like the 90s. So yeah, harder than your compound. Again, to make my point, that crossbow was more of a kill than your new compound. But anyways, he to bring it back, he would take me to the actual hunting stores all around. He called my mom back. Hey, Steven busy? No, and he'd drive over, pick me up, and we'd go to gun stores. We'd go to gun stores. We went to hunting stores, and we'd go in and say, let's go look at some hunting stuff. And we would walk around those stores just waiting for other old dudes that were walking around those stores and be like,
you show pictures.
and he'd pull a picture. I was like 50 years ago, I killed my first big buck, and this year, just last week, my grandson killed his first big buck. So literally, like, it gives me chills even thinking about how awesome it was to sit there and my grandpa just driving over and picking me up and taking me to these stores. We never bought a thing. I don't think he ever bought anything for the next 2 months, but he took me to these hunting stores over and over and over. And there was always other old dudes that had their stories. This was social media before social media. This was Facebook before Facebook, right?
It's face to Facebook.
It's
like
face to Facebook.
You're face to face with the people that you were talking to.
Yes. Hunting stores were the original face-to-face book, okay? That's what they were. You would have to go to these stores and just actually talk to people face-to-face and tell them your hunting stories and over-exaggerate them, but for sure. But no, he had pictures, and to this day, some of the best memories of my life with my grandpa, walleye fishing on Lake Erie, and him taking me to, not even the deer, not even killing the deer. Like, of course, that's a tradition in our family. That was a huge memory in my life. It impacted me in great ways, but him taking me to those stores and him being so proud of me that he would take me around and just drive over and pretend to go shopping just so he could take me around and show and brag about me, to this day makes me, like, right now I just want to go grab my bow, my recurve.
Cross gun.
No, my recurve.
Cross gun.
Yeah, my crossbow too. and just go hunting, right? Like, just because of those memories to this day.
Nothing in season right now.
Yeah,
You got turkey season here in a week.
Yeah, we're April in Ohio, so we can shoot coyotes. That's about it.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it was an interesting topic. The telehunting. I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. I want to hear what you have to say about crossbows versus compounds versus recurves. What are your thoughts on it? Who's the ass of the week? Also, your thoughts on this checking in over your phone, the pros, the cons. There's a little bit of both. Let us know what you think on these two topics, and comment on the Hunting News Facebook page. Comment on the YouTube channel. We will respond to both YouTube and the Hunting News Facebook page, but the Facebook page we can only guarantee we're going to comment on all of them when it's the podcast post. You'll see what they are. And then let us know what you think, and we will be back next week when we're going to be in turkey season. We're banking a couple episodes, so we'll hopefully have been turkey hunting by then. And we will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.